I need to tell you about something absolutely wild that just happened with Selena Gomez. And you absolutely need to stay until the very end of this video, because the truth behind what occurred will absolutely shock you. Before I dive into this insane story that has the entire internet talking, if you're brand new here, please hit that subscribe button because we drop exclusive celebrity tea and unbelievable stories every single day that you won't find anywhere else on the internet. Now stick around because what you're about to hear about Selena Gomez and Jake T. Austin will absolutely blow your mind, and I guarantee you won't see this coming. Picture this scenario on a late night when Selena Gomez was sitting with her phone and something absolutely disturbing caught her attention. She was about to go to bed, ready to wind down her evening, when she discovered that someone had been impersonating her childhood friend Jake T. Austin from Wizard of Waverly Place. Jake T. Austin is someone Selena has known for years, someone she worked with on one of Disney's most iconic television shows, and now someone was using his identity to manipulate and take advantage of her trust and her friendship. This is not a small betrayal. This is a serious violation of trust on multiple levels. What Selena Gomez discovered was that someone had been reaching out to her pretending to be Jake T. Austin, possibly asking for money or other favors under the guise of needing help for some kind of emergency or urgent situation. This is textbook impersonation fraud, and it's becoming increasingly common in the digital age, where fake accounts and false identities can be created in seconds. But what made this situation different was that Selena Gomez decided she was not going to handle this quietly behind closed doors like most people would. Instead of simply blocking the account or reporting it to Instagram or contacting the authorities through proper channels, Selena Gomez made a decision that would send shockwaves across the internet. She decided to expose the fraudster publicly by posting about what happened on her social media. In her post, she shared a phone number and expressed her frustration about someone taking advantage of her love and her care for her friend Jake T. Austin. She stated that she would only communicate with Jake T. Austin directly if he was actually in trouble, making it clear that the person contacting her was not actually Jake. The moment that post went live on Selena Gomez's social media account, everything changed. The internet absolutely exploded with reaction and speculation. Screenshots were being shared everywhere. People were trying to call the phone number that was posted. Conspiracy theories were being created at lightning speed. And suddenly, this was no longer a private matter between friends. This was now a massive public scandal, with millions of people watching and trying to figure out what was really happening behind the scenes. News outlets picked up the story within hours. Entertainment journalists started investigating and trying to piece together exactly what had occurred. Other celebrities started commenting on the situation and sharing their own experiences with similar scams. The story began to spread like wildfire across social media platforms, and the narrative started to become increasingly complicated and distorted from what actually happened. Jake T. Austin became the center of attention despite the fact that he was actually the victim of the impersonation scheme. His Instagram page was flooded with comments from concerned fans asking if he was okay and asking what was happening. People were trying to understand why Selena Gomez had called out his name in such a public and shocking way. The fact that Jake T. Austin is known for being a relatively private person and for staying out of the spotlight made this situation even more interesting to people. What happened next was absolutely crucial to understanding how this entire situation spiraled out of control. Jake T. Austin did not immediately release a statement explaining his side of the story. He did not jump on social media to deny anything or to clarify what was happening. Instead, there was complete silence. For days and days, Jake T. Austin said absolutely nothing, while millions of people speculated about what could possibly be going on. This silence was deafening, and it only made people more curious and more desperate to understand the truth. The internet has a way of filling voids with its own narratives. When the people involved won't provide information themselves, people started creating their own theories about what happened. Some people thought that Jake T. Austin had deliberately sent people on his behalf to try to manipulate Selena Gomez into giving them money. Other people thought that this was a misunderstanding that had been blown completely out of proportion. Some people even suggested that this might be some kind of weird publicity stunt or marketing campaign. Social media sleuths started investigating. Jake T. Austin's recent posts and activity to try to find clues about what might have happened. His most recent Instagram post was from August 26th, which was quite a while before this situation exploded into public view. The lack of recent activity on his social media made people even more concerned and even more suspicious about what could be happening in his personal life. People were genuinely worried about his well-being while simultaneously being fascinated by the mystery of what was actually going on. The ethical implications of what Selena Gomez did by posting that phone number also started to become a topic of serious discussion. While her frustration was completely understandable, sharing someone's personal phone number on a public social media platform raises serious questions about privacy and about whether this is an appropriate way to handle fraud. Some people defended her actions, saying that she had every right to expose the scammer and to warn her friends and her followers about what was happening. Other people argued that she should have gone through proper legal channels instead of taking matters into her own hands on social media. This situation became a real case study in how technology has changed the way we handle conflicts and problems. In previous generations, if something like this happened, you would call the police, you would speak to lawyers, and you would handle it quietly and privately. But in the age of social media, some people feel like they have the right to expose their problems to the world and to let millions of people know what they're going through. This has both advantages and disadvantages. And this situation with Selena Gomez and Jake T. Austin highlighted both sides of that coin. What we know is that someone attempted to impersonate Jake T. Austin and to manipulate Selena Gomez through that false identity. We know that Selena felt betrayed and angry enough to post publicly about it. We know that the internet picked up the story and ran with it and created their own narratives about what really happened. We know that Jake T. Austin remained silent for an extended period of time, which allowed the speculation to continue and to grow more wild. The Wizard of Waverly Place connection made this story even more interesting to people because that show has a massive nostalgic following. Fans of the show grew up watching Selena Gomez and Jake T. Austin together as Alex and Justin Russo on the screen. For these fans, learning that their favorite childhood stars were involved in some kind of conflict or problem was genuinely upsetting. People felt invested in this situation because they felt like they knew these actors from watching them grow up on television. Selena Gomez has built an incredibly successful career since her days on Wizard of Waverly Place. She became a Grammy-nominated singer and songwriter. She became a successful actress. She built a massive business empire, including her own makeup line and other ventures. And she built a social media presence with hundreds of millions of followers across various platforms. So, when her name appeared in this scandal, it was not some minor celebrity gossip. This was a major news story involving one of the biggest names in entertainment. Jake T. Austin has also had a successful career since Wizard of Waverly Place ended. He has appeared in various television shows and movies, he has voiced characters in animated films, and he has maintained a relatively low profile compared to some of his former cast members. This is why his sudden appearance in a major scandal was so shocking to people. He seemed like someone who was not involved in drama, and yet here he was at the center of one of the biggest stories of the moment. The fact that someone thought they could successfully impersonate Jake T. Austin and manipulate Selena Gomez is concerning on multiple levels. It suggests that the security measures that celebrities have in place to protect themselves from fraud might not be as strong as people assume they are. It suggests that scammers are becoming more sophisticated and more bold in their attempts to manipulate people. It also suggests that friendships and personal relationships can be exploited by people with bad intentions, who are willing to use false identities to achieve their goals. This situation also raised important questions about how we verify that people are who they say they are in the digital age. When you receive a message from someone claiming to be your friend, how do you know that it's actually them? Most social media platforms have verification checkmarks for famous people, but someone with enough technical knowledge could potentially find ways to get around this or to create accounts that look official even if they're not actually verified. This is a security vulnerability that affects not just celebrities but regular people as well. The conversation that started to happen online about this situation was actually really important because it forced people to think about their own security and their own vulnerability to these kinds of scams. If someone could attempt to manipulate Selena Gomez with a fake account, then theoretically no one is safe from these kinds of attacks. People started checking their own security settings. people started thinking more carefully about who they communicate with online, and people started having conversations about how to better protect themselves from fraud. But there was also a darker conversation happening online. And that conversation was about whether Selena Gomez's response was appropriate or whether she should have handled the situation differently. Some people argued that she was justified in her anger and that posting about it was a reasonable way to warn her friends and followers. Other people argued that by sharing the phone number, she might have been putting someone else at risk or contributing to harassment if multiple people started calling the number. This is an important ethical discussion that doesn't have a clear right or wrong answer. What would have been the ideal response in this situation? Well, ideally, Selena Gomez could have contacted the authorities or hired legal representation to handle the fraud claim through proper channels. Ideally, Jake T. Austin could have immediately issued a statement clarifying that his account had been impersonated and that he had done nothing wrong. Ideally, social media platforms could have better security, measures in place to prevent this kind of impersonation from happening in the first place. But the reality is that none of these things happened exactly as they should have. And so, we were left with a messy situation that people have been trying to understand and make sense of ever since. The internet has a way of creating its own truth when the real truth isn't readily available, and that's exactly what happened in this case. People started making assumptions and drawing conclusions, and before long, an entirely new narrative had been created that may or may not have anything to do with what actually transpired. The bigger picture here is that this situation is just one of many that highlights the challenges of living in the age of social media and instant communication. The lines between public and private have become increasingly blurred. The ability to reach millions of people with a single post has given ordinary people and celebrities alike a form of power that previous generations never had. But with that power comes responsibility, and not everyone is thinking carefully about the consequences of their actions before they decide to post something online. One of the most important lessons that this situation teaches us is that communication and clarity are absolutely critical when something goes wrong. Selena Gomez communicated her frustration, but some people felt like her communication raised more questions than it answered. The mysterious phone number and the cryptic message sparked widespread speculation and confusion, rather than providing clarity about what actually happened. Sometimes when we think we're doing the right thing by exposing a problem, we actually end up making the situation worse by creating more confusion. It also raises questions about the role of social media in our lives and how we use these platforms to solve problems. Social media is designed to broadcast messages to millions of people instantly, but it's not necessarily designed to handle sensitive situations that require nuance and careful communication. When you post something on social media, you lose control over the narrative. Other people can interpret your words in ways that you didn't intend. Other people can share your post with even more people. Other people can create memes and jokes about your situation. Before you know it, your private problem has become public entertainment for millions of people. This is exactly what happened with Selena Gomez and Jake T. Austin. What started as a warning to friends became a massive public scandal. What was meant to expose a scammer became a situation where millions of people were speculating about whether Jake T. Austin himself might have done something wrong. This shows how quickly narratives can get twisted and distorted when they're shared across social media platforms. For Selena Gomez, this situation was ultimately resolved by the passage of time and by people moving on to the next scandal or news story. For Jake T. Austin, his silence eventually gave way to the story fading from public consciousness. But the lessons from this situation remain relevant and important. We need to think more carefully about how we communicate on social media. We need to be more thoughtful about the consequences of our actions. We need to recognize that one person's action can set off a chain reaction that nobody anticipated. This situation also demonstrated how celebrity culture and social media culture have merged in ways that create new challenges for famous people. In the old days, if something like this happened, it would be handled privately between the people involved and possibly their lawyers. But in today's world, celebrities are expected to provide instant public responses to any allegation or any scandal. They're expected to use their social media platforms to communicate with their fans and to address public concerns. This creates a lot of pressure and a lot of opportunities for things to go wrong. The impersonation and fraud aspect of this story is really the core of what happened. and it's something that's becoming increasingly common in the digital age. As more and more of our lives move online, scammers and bad actors are finding new ways to exploit people and to manipulate them. They're creating fake accounts, they're impersonating famous people, they're using social engineering tactics to trick people into giving them money or personal information. This is a real threat that affects not just celebrities, but everyday people as well. What makes this particular situation interesting is that it involved a celebrity who was powerful enough and brave enough to expose what happened instead of trying to keep it quiet. Some people might have simply blocked the account and moved on without saying anything. Some people might have contacted the authorities and handled it quietly. But Selena Gomez decided to go public with it. And that decision had massive ripple effects across the internet. Whether you think Selena Gomez made the right decision or the wrong decision by posting about this situation on social media, one thing is clear. This situation showed the world exactly how vulnerable we all are to impersonation and fraud in the digital age. It showed us how quickly misinformation can spread online. It showed us how incomplete information can lead to wild speculation and conspiracy theories. It showed us the importance of clear communication and of speaking up quickly when something goes wrong. As we continue to navigate the world of social media and celebrity culture, situations like this one will probably continue to happen. People will continue to impersonate others online. Celebrities will continue to have to decide how to respond to scandals and controversies. The public will continue to speculate and create theories about what's really happening. But hopefully we can all learn from this situation and handle similar situations better in the future. So make sure you subscribe to this channel right now because we bring you stories like this before anyone else does. And we break down what's really happening behind the closed doors of the celebrity world. We help you understand the truth behind the headlines and the narratives that people are creating. We give you the real story without all the gossip and unnecessary drama. Hit that subscribe button right now so you don't miss any of our exclusive content and our insider knowledge about everything happening in entertainment. We appreciate your support tremendously, and we'll see you in the next video.